is trapped in melancholy with the wood wands of holly, suggestions that obliterate to camouflage the folly, attempt the mental robbery, executed softly, the hypocrisy, this mockery, and block the talk with me. Put the hands up to touch the akasha, cause you know deep down there's something bigger than your wallet.
As far as I can tell, you cannot see me yet, but what do I know? Maybe my thing just has a lag, so I'm just going to get started. This is mostly kind of a practice for me because live streaming has changed a lot on YouTube, and so I want to make sure that the changes that I'm making are actually going to come through in a good product. So if you are here watching live, if you can comment whether or not my voice is coming through clear and not echoing on itself, and just whether you can kind of see me and hear me well, that would be sweet. As you know, also YouTube is changing its terms of service and saying that any channel that is not economically viable by December 10th could be deleted. We think this is because they're facing some legal damages from people like Owen Benjamin and others who had money basically stolen from them by YouTube. And so I think YouTube is making these changes so that when they do decide to delete a channel, they can very easily just say that these people violated the terms of service by doing something that wasn't economically viable. And one of those things could be not being monetized. And you can't be monetized unless you have 1,000 subscribers. So I'm really, really close to that cutoff. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so right now. Please also like this video to give me a little boost. Comment underneath with anything, even just saying, hey, what's up, like Bailey did. Hey, Bailey. All of those things help the channel do better and possibly stay alive. I've never been in this for money. It'd be cool to get some, but that's not the goal. The goal is more to just be in connection with people and kind of promote messages and ideas that might not otherwise be as promoted in our very materialistic and shallow world that we live in. And so part of what I wanted to talk about today is Christmas, or just the holidays. If you're not someone who celebrates Christmas, you probably still celebrate the holiday season in some way. Even my family eventually kind of dropped the idea of Christmas, but still stuck with the solstice thing. And even then we still gave gifts, and that's a big time or a big part of this time of the year is gift giving and getting together with family. And so a lot goes along with that. Part of it is the stress that it brings up when you are going to meet with family that you maybe don't see that often, or maybe they don't see the world the same as you do, and there can be a lot of emotions kind of caught up there. And so that can be difficult in any case. But one of the things that adds stress on top of that already kind of difficult situation for many people is gift giving. It's actually a very stressful thing for some people to try to figure out what people want, to try to fit in the time to go shopping for these things. And it's really overwhelming. And often we have so many people that we want to show that we love and care about and that we think about them. And yet we don't really have the time and the money to do what we're supposed to apparently do in this society, which is to give them material goods. A lot of times we end up just buying a bunch of shit from Amazon. It was made in China. It's super cheap. It's going to fall apart soon. We didn't really think it through. It might not even be something the person wanted. We get a bunch of shit that we didn't really want that's made cheaply in other countries by slave labor. And it just kind of reinforces this shitty cycle, and we, our houses fill up and we have like closets full of shit we never touch. And, you probably even feel like, oh, I can't really get rid of this because so-and-so gave it to me for Christmas and it means something, even though it didn't really mean that much because it was just a cheap, shitty kind of side thought. And, it's like when you feel obligated to give somebody a gift, is it really that good of a gift? I don't really think so. So I wanted to talk about some of the alternatives to this mass consumerist sort of Christmas, especially right before Black Friday, which is next Friday after Thanksgiving. You probably know Black Friday in itself is its own atrocity. I've only gone out once ever on a Black Friday, and I did get a sweet deal on like a TV or something. I don't even remember. But man, it's terrifying to watch people just debase themselves and kind of drop to the lowest level of humanity in order to get a thing, like an object. Like they'll harm each other for it and camp out on the streets for it. It's kind of ridiculous. I always feel like the rich people, the elites are kind of looking down at us all and laughing when they see us doing that. It's pretty gross. So before the Black Friday comes, and before you get kind of caught up in the stress of the holidays and kind of zooming along and buying all of this, crap for people, just think about some of these other things that you could do instead of all of that. Think about how much better it might feel to do some of these things instead of buying a bunch of crap, especially if you have a ton of people that you buy crap for. So one thing that I like to do, and that my family has done in the past as well, because think about it, if you're going this direction and you promote it in your family, you could be the thing that kind of pushes the change for your whole family and push this sort of culture change for them and make them feel better in the process as well. So option number 1, make something. Instead of buying something, make something for the people that you love. It can be really, really simple if you're not somebody who has a lot of time or a lot of means. One year I made just a card. I made like a watercolor painting of like a winter scene, and I turned that into a card, and I kind of wrote like a really individualized note to each person, and I gave them that, and that was all I could afford that year. But I made it, and it came from the heart, and it was a beautiful little thing, and it's something they can keep on their fridge for a little while and then not feel bad throwing away eventually or whatever. So that was nice. If you do any kind of art like that, that can be a cool thing, is just to make people like a little collage or a little drawing or sketch or whatever. On the same sort of token, you could make somebody like a poem if you're a writer. I've done that in the past too. Those things aren't everybody's kind of bag, though. I get it. Like, not everyone is, like my boyfriend, who can paint these amazing things and give those as gifts. So that makes sense if that's not your thing. There are some things that kind of like anybody can make, though, that I've done in the past that are pretty easy too. One of my favorites, it's like super simple. If you took like home ec and you know how to sew at all, you can probably make a square, almost like a bag. You can fill it with rice, just regular rice, uncooked, that you get from the store. You can put some essential oil in that rice and like mix it up ahead of time, so it's kind of like smothered up in between the rice grains. Fill it up part way, sew up the end, and now you've got a hot, cold sort of compress. You can put it in the microwave and heat it up. You can put it in the freezer and cool it down. People can use it for their muscles and, for like an eye mask as you're kind of going to sleep, and you can put a relaxing scent in there, and super easy, ridiculously cheap. You can make like, if you sit down for a couple hours, once you get the hang of one, you can make like 20 in a day for like $3. So that's a really nice one that you can do. And then every time that person uses that for relaxation and health that they're giving themselves, they'll think of you and that you gave them that. So that is a really cool one. It's really, really easy that you can do. If you don't want to get that crafty with a sewing machine, you can mix your own essential oil mixes. You go to any store that sells essential oils and you just pour them together and you put them in your own bottles with a little label on it, like, your Christmas mix or whatever you want to call it. And there you go. You've made a crafty little scent for people. You can always make food for people. Bring cookies and brownies to whatever event, and you made them that. One year I made a birdhouse. Like, it sounds like kind of hard for people, but it's really not that hard if you have like some pretty basic tools. Like, I think I did it with a staple gun, honestly. You just like put some like boards together, and then I like hot glue gunned moss and like bark that I found outside to it. It actually was hella cool. Just like get crafty with shit that you find around. I used to live near the beach, and I would beach comb, and you could also hot glue gun some little like beach glasses and shells and stuff to it. So you can make some pretty cool stuff from things that you find outside for like free. If you can't tell, I was poor for many, many years, so these are the things that I came up with. But they were all really cool. One thing that was really fun, I did you can get like a almost fake concrete mix sort of thing from like a craft store. They're like $2. You can pour them into an old tin that you can get from the thrift store for literally like a quarter. And then you can find just like crap that you have sitting around your house, like little knickknacks and like beads from old jewelry, or just like little things that you kind of like never threw away but you don't really need anymore either. And you can kind of push them into the concrete mix as like a mosaic. And I've made pretty cool stepping stones for people as gifts before. I promise I'll stop with the things that you can make soon. This is like one of my favorite parts of Christmas, is not buying shit and making things instead. Recently I found out that you can get this type of plastic that a lot of your shit is packaged in, like grapes or like different like produce things that you'll get at the grocery store, or like foods that you'll get at the grocery store. some of the plastic. Hi, Danny. Hi, Brett. Nice to see you guys here. What was I saying? Oh, some of that plastic, I think it's plastic number 6. It might be number 8. You can look it up and find out. But there's a type of plastic that's plentiful. You probably have it in your garbage right now. You can seriously cut it out into whatever shape you want. You know, you can like draw, marker, paint on it, make whatever designs you want on it, and it's a fucking shrinky dink. You put it in your oven for like whatever, 350 for like 5 minutes or something. You can go find a video on YouTube that shows you how. And you can make little like keychains and ornaments and stuff. It's super cool. It's ridiculously cheap. If you have some Sharpie pens and that plastic from your garbage, like it's literally free. So that's a fun thing. Some of this might seem like kid shit to you, but trust me, if you do it like with any level of grace to it or wit or just like thoughtfulness, people are still going to enjoy it. You know, this is the type of shit that someone comes up with and like makes a whole booth at a craft fair and makes a bunch of money because no one else did it first. So it can be fun. And then some really easy stuff that you can also find YouTube videos for that's way easier than you think it is making like candles and soap in your house. You can make those things pretty easily too. So, and that's stuff people that can actually use. You know, if you make that and give it instead of crap you bought from China, you know, you did it yourself, you had fun making it probably, and you probably learned something, and then people are going to enjoy it for a while and actually use it. So that makes everybody feel good. And one last thing that you can make that is super easy is a calendar. There's even free like layouts on your computer probably if you have like Word or any other, document creating program. They have layouts of calendars. You can drop in really meaningful pictures and change the fonts and kind of play around with that and make a cool calendar for the next year for people. And again, some people might think this shit is kind of like kids or like kitschy or whatever, but I mean, it's way more meaningful than buying like a bag of socks at Walmart and giving that to somebody. So, and it can be fun. Like I said, you take time and put time into it, and it's going to feel better than going out to the mall for like a stressful couple hours running around, you know, in their fragranced like neon light or whatever fluorescent light bullshit that makes you feel like crap. So there's the shit that you can make. I'm like the anti-Martha Stewart. I'm just like rushing through it and swearing while I go. Actually, she might like that too. I bet she's a pretty chill lady in the end. Anyway, this is my favorite. Besides making shit, which you can do, which is awesome and empowering. Hi, Sue. Nice to see you. You can also, and I think this is the best idea, I'm going to push this heavier than anything else. It lasts forever. It's something that we don't get enough time for anyway, and it's the most meaningful, and that is instead of buying a bunch of gifts, get your family to take the money they would have spent on shit, put it together and pool it, and go do something together. Whether that money amounts to like a weekend at a fucking resort where you can like go in hot tubs and like hang out with each other and like go dancing or whatever, or whether it's just enough to like kind of go out to like a concert or something for one night, whatever it is, you guys are going to remember that for the rest of your lives. Instead of, you know, what did they get me that year? Like, you're never going to remember what someone got you for that year, but you are going to remember this event that you had. And this is another thing that I'm really glad that my family ended up doing eventually. Is instead of doing shopping or even making stuff and kind of putting all this stress into it, it's like we all need a vacation. We all love each other. We all don't spend enough time together anyway. So we would pool our money together, and like one year we went snowboarding or skiing for like 3 or 4 days together up in Canada. That was awesome. We did an Airbnb one year where there's like hot tubs in the place, and it was huge, and it was up on the mountain, and we went like snowshoeing and stuff. And we are not rich people by any means. We're very, very normal, average people to poor people. So no one in my family has a lot of money. But when you pull it all together, you do end up with enough. And, you know, we brought our food and made our own food at these places. It wasn't like we were like going out and being really extravagant. And we like carpooled there and stuff, and there was always places we could drive to, so we didn't have to fly. But you'd be surprised, and it is a great idea. It's really meaningful. Like I said, I'm never going to forget those years, those Christmases, but I've definitely forgotten every Christmas where we just gave each other shit, you know, until you see the pictures and you're like, oh yeah, you got me a bongo. I lost it like 3 months later, you know. So that is cool. And it is cool too when you can make it something where there's like multiple events involved. Like when we did the Airbnb one, we've got hot tubbing and snowshoeing and all these things like kind of right out the back door. So that was really fun. Another thing that is hopefully not guilt trippy. Like I don't want to make anybody feel like this is something that they like have to do or feel bad if they haven't done it. I've never done it. So don't feel like I'm pressuring you into something that's outside your comfort zone. But I think it's a really great idea, especially for families with young children, to go volunteer together somewhere. Because I think it's really important to remind children, not to do it in a way where they like feel bad about themselves or the world, but just to remind kids that there's a lot of people who don't have enough in the world. Instead of, we just have this tendency, especially with kids, to like dump gifts on them. You know, and we've got like the stocking, and then we've got the presents from like every single family member. If you have a big family, it can be really overwhelming, and they don't even like use half that shit. And they don't know who it came from, and they don't remember it. And it's just kind of like, it's just an orgy of consumerism that's kind of unnecessary. And it teaches kids, I think, like pretty bad habits, honestly, that you are always going to be surrounded with so much material goods that you don't even know what to do with it all. So, you know, anyway, long story short, I think it's really good to remind children that there are people who don't have enough. And part of the way that you can do that in a really productive way that builds self-esteem for kids, and it builds an understanding of the world, and it also builds skills, because you're going to be doing something when you're there, is to just go volunteer somewhere that you think is safe and good, and you're not going to expose your kid to like, you know, horrible violence or drug use or whatever, but just go down to a shelter and like do one meal with them, or, you know, help clean up somewhere or something like that. It can just be a really good activity, honestly, any time of the year. But one of my favorite ideas is to do it at an animal shelter. You do have to go get kind of certified and trained ahead of time, so it's not something you can just jump into, but that's at least a cute one that you can do. Finally, second to last, actually, one thing that you can do instead of giving gifts that I've done in the past too is to give money to a charity. A lot of them are shady as fuck, and I would never give to them. But there's some really good ones that support kind of not just, it's like they're not just giving shit away, and they're definitely not paying a bunch of workers a bunch of money to run the organization, but they're trying to promote like self-reliance in people. One of those is Heifer International, I really like. And there's some other good ones. There's also some sites that kind of go through and check how well your money actually gets to the person who actually needs it. And so that could be a nice thing if you like, instead of giving somebody an object, you can give somebody this kind of note that says like, you provided one goat for a family in Africa or whatever, and that's their gift. That can be really nice. Some people kind of think you're an asshole when you do shit like that, because they're like, thanks a lot, dick. Like, I went to Walmart and bought you this thing, and now I feel like an asshole. So you kind of have to maybe deal with that. But, you know, people start to get the idea. Like, you can kind of like lead that change and promote that in the people that you interact with. So that can be cool. And finally, it isn't bad to buy people gifts, obviously. It is part of our experience as humans in this world to buy each other things, and that can feel really good, especially if it's a thoughtful thing that you know the person wants and you feel good about buying it and they feel good about receiving it. Buy somebody a gift, absolutely. I just encourage, and this is what I do when I buy people objects, is I try to do it from small and local vendors and creators. So there's places in your town probably that sell intentionally locally made things. There's a place, for example, where I just moved in Colorado that's called Made in Colorado. And so everything is at least from the state. You can obviously go to Etsy and buy from, you know, artists and artisans there. You're going to have craft fairs in your town, especially at like local churches for fundraisers and stuff. So the community has come together with things they've made that you can get for Christmas, especially around Christmas time. There's farmers markets. There's just all kinds of ways to support local artisans and local crafters and local businesses, and to shop small. And then obviously, if you want to shop a little bit bigger and not just in your immediate neighborhood, there are also objects that you can buy for people that have meaning, that goes beyond just buying something. For example, like activist clothing like Spiro by Matt Landman is a good example. It does something functional and it supports a message that needs to get out into the world. So there's obviously all kinds of goods like that too that support something good that's happening in the world. So I am about to jump on actually with Matt Landman on Facebook. We're going to do a live stream there. he's going to join me really quickly before he goes on with Carrie Cassidy of the Project Camelot tonight at 7 p.m. Pacific. They're going to do a thing. So him and I are going to meet on Facebook in just a few minutes and talk about something very unrelated from Christmas or activities like that. So if you want to catch us over there, you can find more of me there. And otherwise, go to rogueways.org, like and subscribe to this channel. And I'm really glad that you could all see me and hear me. I wish I had a dual monitor so that you didn't have to hear and see this. But travel well, aim for balance, and always look inside first. Mwah. Thanks for stopping by. Maybe I won't be able to end the iStream. Oh, there we go.
It's a one-on-one lesson, so do your homework. Make your dome hurt while up on earth. My bones are blessed from holy dirt. Vibes manifested to words that told me search for verbs and adjectives to describe birth. Worth more than one can speak, while the tongue beats a weak, a sour taste in your mouth, bittersweet. Words can also kill you when you sleep. Mind condition, low frequencies while the subconscious mind listens. I can television filled with lies disguised as truth, and spread it like the word to the youth. Watch the tube. A place where the God gets booed is sorcery. To recreate the God forgery does more than meets the eye. Not too many know. Just hear me flow like the eye of Horus Pinio. Yeah, not ready to leave until we believe we're free to go. You hear me, yo?
Sculpted from the ether, the material will eat ya. Stuck on this plane, lanes use jet fuel to